Hello, and welcome to TerraNash. I'm Aiden, your narrator for tonight. Let's take this time together to step away from the rush of the day and ease into a world of dreams and wonder. Tonight, we journey into an ancient tale, one that carries the gentle wisdom of time itself. In the heart of a peaceful village, nestled beside a still and quiet pond, a young girl named Mei Lin meets a wise old tortoise. With patience and grace, the tortoise teaches her the beauty of stillness, the strength found in slowness, and the power of trusting time's gentle flow. But before we begin, we'd love to hear from you. Where are you listening from? And what time is it as you settle in to hear this story? We'd also love to know what kinds of stories you'd enjoy next. Your thoughts and suggestions inspire us, so please share them in the comments below. If you'd like even more from us, you can check out our Patreon for early access to all our stories and a curated Spotify playlist to accompany you. Oh, and I wanted to share an important update with you. Currently, less than 10% of our viewers are subscribed to the channel, which means more than 90% of you haven't subscribed yet. If you've been enjoying our bedtime stories, subscribing is a simple and free way to support us. Reaching 1,000 subscribers will allow us to remove all mid-roll ads, ensuring a completely uninterrupted and relaxing experience for you. Your support means the world to us, and together we can make TerraNash an even more peaceful place for storytelling. At the moment, we aim to remove all mid-roll ads from our videos to provide a seamless and uninterrupted viewing experience. Unfortunately, we are unable to do so because we have not yet reached the threshold required to gain control over ad placements. Now, close your eyes and take a deep breath. Let the weight of the day drift away as you sink into the comfort of your bed. As the night settles in and the world grows quiet, allow yourself to unwind and let go of the day's worries. Breathe deeply, feel the weight of your body sink into your bed, and let a sense of calm wash over you. This is a story of wisdom, patience, and the quiet magic of nature, a tale that will lull you into a deep and restful sleep. Let your thoughts drift like ripples on the water, slow and soft, as you listen to the blessing of the tortoise. Mei Lin was always in a hurry. From the moment she woke up in the morning, she felt as though she had to rush. She would quickly tie her sash, grab her books, and dash outside before her mother could call her back for breakfast. At school, she scribbled her answers down before the teacher even finished explaining. And at home, she gulped her meals so fast that her grandmother often sighed and shook her head. The river does not rush to the sea, yet it arrives all the same, her grandmother would say. But Mei Lin did not understand. There was always something to do, somewhere to be. She felt as if the world would move on without her if she did not move fast enough. Her friends often laughed at how quickly she spoke, her words tumbling over each other in a race to be heard. But they also noticed that Mei Lin never truly stopped to enjoy anything. Not the scent of blooming jasmine, not the laughter of her friends, not even the warm touch of the afternoon sun. One evening, after a particularly long day of errands and studying, Mei Lin felt exhausted. The sun had set, and the village streets were quiet, except for the distant sound of a flute playing somewhere in the hills. With a sigh, she decided to take a walk toward the small pond outside the village, where she often went when she needed a moment to herself. The air was cool, and the moon hung low in the sky, its light reflecting gently on the still water. A gentle breeze rustled the reeds, carrying with it the faint scent of lotus blossoms. Mei-Lin sat down by the edge of the pond, hugging her knees to her chest. She let out a deep breath, watching the ripples dance across the water's surface. For the first time that day, she felt still. And then, something moved in the shadows. Mei-Lin's eyes widened as a large shape slowly emerged from the reeds. At first, she thought it was a rock shifting in the water, but then she saw the glint of two wise, dark eyes. It was a tortoise, an old, heavy-shelled creature with deep grooves etched into its shell, as if time itself had left its mark upon it. The tortoise stepped onto the shore with slow, deliberate movements, its sturdy legs making soft imprints in the damp earth. Mei-Lin had seen tortoises before, but none quite like this one. There was something ancient about it, something that made the air feel still and heavy with meaning. She watched in fascination as the tortoise settled itself near her, its deep eyes meeting hers with a knowing gaze. Then, to her astonishment, the tortoise spoke. "You seem troubled, young one," it said, its voice slow and steady, like the sound of a distant river flowing through a valley. Mei-Lin gasped and scrambled back. You can talk?" The tortoise chuckled, a soft rumbling sound. "All creatures speak, child. You only need the patience to listen." Mei-Lin's heart was still racing from surprise, but something in the tortoise's voice was soothing, like the lull of the evening breeze. Slowly, she sat back down. "I just have too much to do," she admitted. "I always feel like I'm running out of time." The tortoise blinked slowly, as if considering her words. Then it said, "Time is like the river. The more you chase it, the further it seems to run from you." Mei-Lin frowned. "That doesn't make sense. If I don't hurry, I'll be left behind." The tortoise only smiled. "Let us see." And with that, it turned toward the water and began to walk along the shore, its movements slow and unhurried. The moonlight reflected off its shell, giving it an almost ethereal glow. Mei-Lin hesitated for a moment before standing up. "Come," the tortoise said, "but do not rush ahead." Mei-Lin sighed, thinking it was silly, but something about the tortoise's presence made her curious. So she followed, matching its slow and steady pace. What she did not realize was that this simple walk would change her life forever. Mei-Lin followed the tortoise along the edge of the pond, trying her best to match its slow and steady pace. But it wasn't easy. Each step the tortoise took seemed deliberate, as if it had all the time in the world. Meanwhile, Mei-Lin's feet twitched with impatience. She wanted to hurry ahead, to see where they were going, to finish whatever lesson this was supposed to be. After only a few moments, she sighed loudly. "This is taking forever," she muttered under her breath. The tortoise, without stopping, replied in its calm, steady voice. "Then perhaps time is not the problem." Maylene frowned. What do you mean? The tortoise turned its head slightly toward her. You believe that moving fast will bring you what you seek. But do you even know what it is you are rushing toward? Maylene opened her mouth to answer, but no words came. She had never thought about that before. She was always focused on getting things done quickly. But where was she really going? The tortoise continued forward, the soft earth shifting beneath its heavy steps. The night air was cool, and the pond shimmered under the moon's glow. Fireflies blinked lazily in the reeds, and the distant croak of a frog echoed in the stillness. Maylene had never noticed these things before. She looked up at the sky, where stars twinkled like tiny lanterns. The gentle rustling of bamboo in the distance mixed with the quiet lapping of the pond's water. Everything felt slower, calmer. After what felt like a long time, the tortoise stopped and turned to Maylene. What did you see? Maylene hesitated, then said softly, the fireflies, the water, the way the sky looks when the stars reflect in the pond. The tortoise nodded. Had you rushed ahead, would you have noticed them? Maylene bit her lip and shook her head. The tortoise's eyes gleamed in the moonlight. Then you have learned the first lesson. Maylene furrowed her brows. What lesson? Patience reveals beauty, the tortoise said. When you slow down, you see the world as it truly is. The things you overlooked before were always there. You simply never gave them the time to be seen. Maylene looked down at her hands. She had spent so much of her life trying to move quickly that she had never truly stopped to appreciate what was around her. Maybe, just maybe, there was wisdom in stillness. The next evening, Maylene returned to the pond, hoping to see the tortoise again. She sat by the water's edge, watching the ripples dance in the moonlight. For the first time, she didn't feel the urge to rush or fidget. Instead, she simply watched and listened. The gentle rhythm of the night soothed her, and she found herself breathing slower, more deeply. Then, from the reeds, the tortoise emerged once more. You have returned, it said, its voice as steady as ever. Maylene nodded. I think I understand what you meant yesterday. The tortoise blinked slowly. Then tell me. Maylene took a moment to gather her thoughts. I realize that I've spent my whole life trying to finish things quickly, but I never actually stopped to enjoy them. When we walked last night, I saw things I had never noticed before. The fireflies, the sound of the water, even the way the night air feels cool against my skin. I wouldn't have seen them if I had rushed ahead. The tortoise's eyes crinkled slightly, as if smiling. Good, but that is only the beginning. Maylene tilted her head. There's more? The tortoise stepped closer, its shell reflecting the moonlight like polished stone. Tell me, child, when you eat your food, do you truly taste it? Maylene blinked, surprised by the question. Of course I do. The tortoise chuckled. Do you? Or do you simply swallow it in haste, thinking of the next thing you must do? Maylene paused. She did tend to eat quickly, barely paying attention to the flavors. She was always thinking about what came next. Her schoolwork, her chores, the next task on her endless list. The tortoise continued. When you speak with others, do you truly listen, or do you only wait for your turn to talk? Maylin frowned. I listen. But even as she said it, she knew that wasn't entirely true. She was always eager to respond, to share her own thoughts, often speaking before the other person had finished. The tortoise nodded, as if it could sense her realization. You rush through life, Maylin, always thinking about the next step, the next task, the next destination. But life is not something to be finished. It is something to be lived. Maylin felt a small pang in her chest. Was this why she always felt so exhausted? No matter how fast she moved, she never felt like she had enough time. But maybe it wasn't time that was the problem. Maybe it was the way she was using it. She looked at the tortoise with new eyes. What should I do? She asked. The tortoise smiled. Walk with me once more. This time, do not focus on the destination. Simply be present. Maylin took a deep breath and nodded. As they walked along the shore again, she let go of the urge to rush. She let herself feel the earth beneath her feet, hear the sounds of the night, and enjoy the simple act of moving forward, step by step. And for the first time in her life, she felt at peace. The following days, Maylin continued to visit the pond, eager to learn more from the wise tortoise. Each evening, she walked at its pace, observing the world in a way she never had before. She noticed the silver glint of fish swimming just beneath the water's surface, the way the wind carried the scent of damp earth after a light rain, the rustling of small creatures in the underbrush. One night, as they walked together, Maylin asked, "Tortoise, why do you move so slowly?" The tortoise chuckled softly. "Do you see my shell?" Maylin nodded. It was large and covered in deep, intricate grooves, as if each one carried a story of its own. The tortoise continued, "It is heavy, and I carry it everywhere I go. But I do not complain, nor do I wish to be rid of it. It is part of me." Maylin tilted her head. "But doesn't it slow you down?" "It does," the tortoise admitted. "But that is not a burden. It is a blessing." Maylin frowned. "How can being slow be a blessing?" The tortoise smiled. "Because by carrying this weight, I am never careless. I do not run blindly. Every step I take is deliberate, and so I never fall. The world is full of those who rush ahead, only to stumble because they did not see the path before them." Maylin fell silent, thinking about how often she tripped or dropped things in her hurry to move fast. The tortoise continued, "Your time is much like my shell. If you see it as a burden, you will rush to put it down, always feeling as if you are carrying too much. But if you accept it, if you move with it instead of against it, you will find balance." Maylin looked down at her hands, tracing patterns in the dirt. "I always feel like I don't have enough time." The tortoise gave her a knowing look. "And yet, here you are, sitting, walking, breathing. Time has not run away from you, child. It has only ever been here, waiting for you to notice it." Maylin's heart slowed at those words. She had spent so long chasing time, but what if she had never needed to? Maybe time was not the enemy she had always believed it to be. The next evening, Maylene arrived at the pond earlier than usual. The sky was painted with soft hues of orange and pink as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden light over the water. She found the tortoise waiting for her. Tonight, it had brought her to a small clearing near the pond, where a single lotus flower stood in the shallow water. Its petals were tightly closed, not yet ready to bloom. The tortoise gestured toward it. "Tell me, Maylene, if you wanted this flower to bloom right now, what would you do?" Maylene studied the unopened lotus. "I could try to pry the petals open." The tortoise nodded. "And what would happen?" Maylene hesitated, then frowned. "I would ruin it." The tortoise smiled. "Exactly." Maylene looked at the flower again, realization dawning on her. So, some things take time. The tortoise's voice was warm. "Yes, you cannot force a flower to bloom before it is ready. Just as you cannot rush yourself through life without missing something important." Maylene thought about all the times she had hurried through her lessons, barely absorbing what she had learned. All the times she had rushed through meals, never truly tasting the food her mother had prepared with such care. All the times she had spoken too quickly, never fully hearing what others had to say. She had been forcing life's petals open with impatient hands, and in doing so, she had missed the beauty of its natural unfolding. Maylene let out a slow breath, something within her chest feeling lighter than it had in a long time. The tortoise watched her with its wise, ancient eyes. "Everything in its own time, child. Patience does not mean doing nothing. It means allowing things to grow at their own pace." Maylene smiled softly, her heart warm with understanding. She sat beside the lotus flower and watched the sky darken, content to wait for the moment when the petals would bloom on their own. The next evening, Maylene arrived at the pond to find the tortoise waiting for her near the water's edge. The air was still, and the surface of the pond was smooth as glass, reflecting the early evening sky in perfect clarity. The tortoise motioned for her to sit beside it. As Maylene settled onto the soft grass, the tortoise dipped one of its heavy feet into the pond. The water rippled outward in soft waves, distorting the reflection of the sky. "Tell me, Maylene," the tortoise said in its steady voice. "What do you see?" Maylene studied the water, the ripples. The tortoise nodded. "And what happens when the water is disturbed?" Maylene watched as the gentle waves moved outward, shifting and reshaping everything on the surface. "The reflection changes," she said after a moment. The tortoise withdrew its foot, allowing the pond to still once more. Slowly, the reflection of the sky returned, whole and unbroken. "This pond is much like the mind," the tortoise said. "When it is restless, full of hurried thoughts and worries, it cannot see clearly. But when it is still, it reflects the truth." Maylene thought about her own mind, how often it raced ahead, how full it was of worries about things that hadn't even happened yet. She was always thinking of the next task, the next challenge, the next step, never allowing herself a moment of stillness. She let out a small sigh. I think my mind is always rippling. The tortoise gave a slow blink. Then perhaps it is time to let it settle. Maylene furrowed her brow. But how? The tortoise gestured toward the water. Be like the pond. When a thought comes, do not fight it. Do not chase it. Let it pass, like ripples fading into stillness. In time, you will see clearly. Maylene watched the water, letting the tortoise's words sink in. For the first time, she didn't try to fill the silence. She simply breathed, letting her thoughts come and go without rushing to hold on to them. And slowly, like the pond before her, she felt herself becoming still. The following night, the tortoise led Maylene to a new place, a small hill just beyond the pond. From the top, they could see the vast landscape beyond the village, where rolling green fields stretched toward the base of a great mountain in the distance. Maylene had seen the mountain before, but she had never really looked at it. Tonight, in the soft glow of the setting sun, it seemed eternal, unmoving, untouched by time. Tell me, Maylene, the tortoise said, how long do you think it took for that mountain to form? Maylene thought for a moment. A long time. The tortoise chuckled. Much longer than you can imagine. The mountain did not rise in a day, nor did the wind and rain shape its valleys in an instant. But over many years, through slow and steady change, it became what it is now. Maylene hugged her knees to her chest, gazing at the mountain in the fading light. So, you're saying that change takes time? The tortoise nodded. People, like mountains, are shaped by time. You will grow, Maylene, not in great leaps, but in small, quiet moments, like a river carving its way through stone. Maylene thought about all the times she had wished to be better right away. She had always felt impatient when learning something new, frustrated when things didn't come easily. But maybe, just like the mountain, she wasn't meant to change overnight. She looked at the tortoise with a small smile. So I just have to keep going, even if I don't see the change right away. The tortoise's eyes crinkled with warmth. Yes, child. True growth happens slowly, like the earth rising toward the sky. Do not be discouraged by small steps. Every step forward is still forward. Maylene let the words settle deep within her heart. For the first time, she didn't feel the urgency to rush. She didn't feel like she was falling behind. Instead, she felt something far greater. Patience. And in that patience, she found peace. Maylene had never truly noticed the old willow tree that stood beside the pond until now. Its gnarled roots stretched deep into the earth, and its long branches draped toward the water like delicate fingers brushing the surface. It had been there for as long as she could remember, watching over the pond in quiet stillness. That evening, as Maylene sat beside the tortoise, she found herself drawn to the willow. Tortoise, she said softly, how long do you think this tree has been here? The tortoise turned its wise eyes toward the willow. Many lifetimes. Malin ran a hand over the rough bark. It never moves, never rushes, but it still grows. The tortoise nodded. Because it does not fight time. It does not try to grow all at once. It simply stands, patient and steady, and allows time to shape it. Malin looked up at the willow's swaying branches. It had weathered storms, endured harsh winters, and yet it remained. She thought about how often she had wished for immediate answers, immediate results, always wanting to be faster, stronger, wiser, right away. But the willow was wise without rushing, strong without forcing. She looked at the tortoise, realization dawning in her heart. So, patience isn't just about waiting. It's about trusting that I'm growing, even when I can't see it. The tortoise smiled. Yes, child. Just like the willow. Just like the mountain. Just like the rippling water. You are always growing. Even in stillness, there is movement. Malin sat quietly, watching the branches sway. For the first time, she felt no need to chase after time. She was exactly where she needed to be. On the final evening, Malin arrived at the pond to find the tortoise waiting for her beneath the willow tree. The moon hung low in the sky, its reflection shimmering across the water's surface. Malin sat beside the tortoise, a peaceful silence settling between them. She no longer felt restless, no longer felt the need to ask hurried questions or fill the quiet with words. She simply was. After a long moment, the tortoise spoke. Malin, tell me, what have you learned? Malin smiled. That patience is not about doing nothing. It's about trusting that everything is happening as it should. The tortoise nodded, pleased. And? That time is not my enemy, Malin continued. That I don't need to chase it. I only need to walk with it. The tortoise's eyes gleamed with quiet pride. Then, my child, you have received the blessing of the tortoise. Malin blinked. Blessing? The tortoise smiled. You have learned to move with time, not against it. You have found peace in patience. That is a greater blessing than anything rushed hands could ever hold. Malin placed a hand on the tortoise's smooth shell, warmth filling her chest. She had always believed that wisdom was something to be obtained quickly, like a prize at the end of a race. But now she understood. It had been growing inside her all along, like the mountain rising, like the willow standing, like the lotus slowly blooming. As the wind whispered through the willow's branches, Malin closed her eyes, feeling time move around her, not as something to outrun, but as something to embrace. And for the first time in her life, she felt truly at peace.